In the summer of 2019, archaeologists in northern Sudan made a discovery that would puzzle them for years to come. Using satellite imagery, they identified what appeared to be a perfectly geometric city buried beneath red sand dunes. But when they began excavation, they found something that challenged every rule of archaeology they knew. The city was empty. Not abandoned, empty. As if its inhabitants had simply vanished mid-task, leaving behind a civilization so advanced, so precisely planned, that it seemed to surpass our understanding of ancient capabilities. This is just one of 13 archaeological sites around the world that challenge everything we think we know about our past. Sites that appear on no historical record. Civilizations that built with knowledge they shouldn't have possessed. Places where the very stones seem to hold secrets that make even seasoned archaeologists question established historical timelines. Tonight, we're going to explore these remarkable discoveries. Places like Oplontis, where a Roman villa appears to have predicted its own destruction by Vesuvius. The library frozen in time, hidden in the Himalayas, where researchers report extraordinary experiences after handling ancient scrolls. And the Theater of the Blind Eye in China, built with seating designed for beings that were clearly not human in scale. What you're about to hear isn't just about lost civilizations. It's about evidence that suggests our ancestors possessed knowledge that seems impossible for their time. Knowledge about the future, about the cosmos, about engineering principles that modern science is only beginning to understand. Some of these sites have been deliberately buried. Others seem to exist in places where no human settlement should survive. And all of them share one remarkable characteristic. They appear to contain messages, waiting for us to understand communications that were left thousands of years ago. But be prepared. The deeper we examine these mysteries, the more we realize that perhaps some knowledge was intentionally preserved. Perhaps some questions were meant to be asked by future generations. Because once you understand what I'm about to tell you, you'll never look at ancient history the same way again. Are you ready to discover what ancient civilizations wanted us to know? Let's begin with the city that saw its own future. The villa that predicted its own doom. Just 8 miles from Pompeii lies a place that archaeologists call Oplontis, though its ancient name remains lost to time. But unlike its famous neighbor, Oplontis harbors a secret that puzzles researchers. When Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, it buried this Roman settlement under layers of ash and pumice. But here's what doesn't make sense. Oplontis shows evidence of being buried, not once, but twice. 2 distinct ash layers, separated by what appears to be years of time. The first burial happened earlier than Pompeii's destruction, much earlier. Archaeological teams describe what they found as remarkable. The villa was in mid-renovation when the first disaster struck. But these weren't repairs from earthquake damage. These were extensive preparations. The centerpiece of Oplontis is Villa Poppaea, believed to belong to Emperor Nero's wife. But as archaeologists dug deeper, they discovered something extraordinary. Hidden beneath the villa's foundation were chambers filled with what can only be described as survival supplies. Sealed amphorae containing enough grain to last decades. Water cisterns that extended far deeper than any normal villa would require. And then there are the walls. Carved into the villa's foundation stones are symbols that predate Roman construction by centuries. Symbols that match no known ancient language, but seem to depict volcanic eruptions with remarkable accuracy. One carving shows Mount Vesuvius erupting twice, with the second eruption marked by what appears to be a date calculation. The calculation points to 79 AD, but perhaps most intriguing is what the villa lacks: any religious artifacts. No household gods, no sacred spaces, no evidence of Roman spiritual life. Instead, the walls are covered in astronomical charts and star maps that show celestial events occurring centuries in the future. Local workers have reported unusual experiences while excavating certain sections of the site. They describe hearing echoes from the buried chambers that seemed to carry voices speaking in unknown languages. The geometry of the vanished 3,000 miles away, beneath the shifting sands of Sudan's Bayuda Desert, satellite imagery revealed something extraordinary. A perfectly geometric city laid out in mathematical patterns that wouldn't be seen again until the Renaissance. The city beneath the red sands, as researchers have dubbed it, spans nearly 4 square kilometers. Every street intersects at precise angles. Every building follows a modular design that speaks of advanced urban planning. But when the excavation teams arrived, they found a city frozen in time. Not abandoned, frozen. Tools lay exactly where they had been placed. Clay vessels sat half-formed on potter's wheels. Looms held threads that crumbled to dust at the slightest touch. But there were no bodies, no bones, no evidence that anyone had ever lived here, despite clear signs of habitation. Archaeological teams have noted something unprecedented about this site. In excavating dozens of ancient settlements, archaeologists always find burial sites, refuse pits, some evidence of human remains. Here, there's nothing. It's as if the entire population simply vanished without a trace. The city's central feature is an oval depression containing underground chambers carved from solid bedrock. These chambers stretch deeper than current equipment can measure, and each one is perfectly circular, polished to a mirror finish. The precision required for such construction would challenge modern engineering, but it's the pottery that truly puzzles researchers. Mixed among local Sudanese ceramics are vessels made from materials that don't exist anywhere in Africa. Clay that contains microscopic elements found only in specific regions of South America and Tibet. Materials that would have required global trade networks that historians say didn't exist at that time. Around the city's perimeter stand what locals call the sentinel stones, massive granite markers, each one perfectly aligned to stars that weren't visible from Earth when the city was supposedly built. Stars that only became visible due to celestial precession occurring thousands of years later. The workers who discovered the site report unusual dreams, remarkably similar dreams. They see the city as it once was, bustling with activity, but the inhabitants appear different somehow. Their proportions seem unusual, their eyes unusually large. And in these dreams, the beings seem to be waiting for something, watching the sky with intense focus. Carbon dating places the city's construction sometime around 8000 BC, but geological surveys of the sand layers suggest it was deliberately buried much more recently. Someone wanted this place hidden. The settlement that never died, on Vietnam's coastal lowlands, near what is now Yan Yan village. Archaeologists have uncovered one of the most puzzling sites in Southeast Asia. It's a complete settlement, stone foundations, cooking areas, tool workshops, even children's play areas marked by worn stones and ancient toys. The preservation is remarkable, almost impossibly remarkable. Every building is intact. Every tool remains exactly where it was last used. Fish bones still lie on cutting stones. Cooking fires appear to have been extinguished only moments before discovery, though carbon dating places the site at over 800 years old. But in a settlement that clearly housed hundreds of people for generations, there isn't a single human bone. Archaeological experts have spent 3 years at this site. Their reports describe something unprecedented. In any normal archaeological site, you find burial grounds, accident sites, evidence of illness or natural death. You find teeth, bone fragments, something. Here, it's as if death simply never occurred. The settlement's layout suggests a thriving community. Large communal areas indicate social gatherings. Workshops show evidence of specialized craftwork. Agricultural terraces stretch inland, still showing the geometric patterns of ancient farming techniques. But the more investigators study the site, the more puzzling it becomes. The cooking fires were burning wood that doesn't grow within 500 miles of the coast. The tools are made from metals that require smelting techniques not developed in Vietnam, until much later periods. And the architectural style matches no known Southeast Asian culture. Most intriguing are the mirrors. Dozens of polished bronze discs arranged throughout the settlement in patterns that serve no obvious practical purpose. When examined under modern equipment, these mirrors show surface scarring that suggests they were used to reflect specific wavelengths of light that corresponds to no known natural source. Local fishermen tend to avoid the area, especially at dawn and dusk. They report seeing movement among the ruins. Figures that seem to cast no shadows can leave no footprints. The Vietnamese government has restricted access to the site, citing cultural preservation concerns, though some suggest they're more concerned about the psychological effects on research teams. Multiple excavation crews have reported the same phenomenon. After spending more than a week at the site, team members begin to feel observed, not by other people, but by the settlement itself, as if the empty buildings are somehow aware of their presence. And sometimes, in the early morning hours, workers report hearing sounds drifting from the ruins. Not voices, but something more puzzling, the ordinary sounds of daily life. Children at play, adults working, the gentle noise of a community going about its daily routine. Sounds coming from buildings that have been empty for 8 centuries. The Vietnamese Ministry of Culture has sealed the site pending further study. But sources close to the investigation suggest the real reason is far more intriguing. The settlement isn't just well preserved. It appears to still be occupied by something that may never have been entirely human to begin with. These 3 buried cities share more than just mystery. They all show evidence of advanced knowledge that their supposed builders shouldn't have possessed. They all contain materials from impossible sources. And they all seem to be sending the same message across time, a warning about something approaching, something that their builders saw coming from far away. But these buried settlements are just the beginning, because scattered across the globe are monuments that challenge not just history, but our understanding of what's possible. The hidden perfection of the Amazon. Deep in Colombia's Amazon rainforest, accessible only by helicopter or days of difficult jungle trekking, stands a pyramid that may be the most precisely constructed monument on Earth. Despite being only 30 feet tall, this granite structure exhibits engineering tolerances that rival modern construction techniques. The pyramid's blocks fit together with gaps so narrow that a knife blade cannot be inserted between them. Each stone has been cut and polished to tolerances measured in fractions of millimeters. The precision required for such construction would challenge contemporary builders using laser-guided equipment. But like India's glowing pyramid, this monument presents an immediate impossibility. The granite came from quarries located over 400 miles away, across some of the most challenging terrain on the planet. How ancient peoples transported multi-ton blocks through dense jungle, across rivers, and up mountainous terrain remains completely unexplained. The pyramid's positioning shows the same astronomical knowledge found at other mysterious sites. Its faces align perfectly with cardinal directions, and its apex points to specific star systems with mathematical precision. But perhaps most remarkably, the entire structure appears to have been designed according to mathematical principles that were unformally discovered until the development of advanced geometry. The pyramid sits in a perfectly circular clearing that shows no signs of natural formation. The trees surrounding it are arranged in geometric patterns that suggest deliberate landscaping on a massive scale. Soil analysis reveals that the clearing has been maintained in its current state for at least 800 years, despite being located in one of the world's most aggressive growing environments. Carbon dating of organic materials found during excavation produces conflicting results. Some samples suggest the pyramid was built around 900 A, while others indicate construction dates going back over 2,000 years. It's as if the monument exists outside normal time, preserving itself through unknown means. Most puzzling is the pyramid's apparent invisibility to satellite imagery. Despite its precise construction and cleared surroundings, the monument doesn't appear on any satellite photographs or maps. It was discovered purely by accident when a geological survey team became lost and stumbled upon the site. The Colombian government has classified all information about the pyramid's location and has restricted access to a small number of researchers. Official reports describe it as a significant archaeological find requiring protection, but leaked documents suggest concerns about the site's unusual properties. Research teams report that their equipment behaves erratically near the pyramid. GPS units lose signal accuracy. Radio communications are disrupted. And digital measuring devices often display readings that change depending on the time of day and weather conditions. But perhaps most intriguing is the pyramid's acoustic properties. Sound behaves strangely around the structure. Whispers can be heard clearly from one side of the pyramid to the other, while normal conversation seems muffled and distorted. It's as if the monument was designed to enhance certain types of communication while blocking others. These three monuments, the impossible obelisk, the glowing pyramid, and the hidden Amazon structure, share characteristics that suggest they're part of a larger system. All use materials transported from impossible distances. All demonstrate astronomical knowledge beyond their supposed time periods. And all seem designed to communicate across vast distances of space and time. But they're not the only structures that suggest ancient peoples possessed knowledge they shouldn't have had. Hidden in mountain monasteries and jungle temples are repositories of information that challenge our understanding of what early civilizations could know. The library that time forgot, high in the Himalayas, at an altitude where oxygen is scarce and temperatures plummet far below freezing, lies a monastery that appears on no modern maps. Discovered in 2016 by a geological survey team studying glacial retreat, this ancient structure contains what may be the most significant archaeological find of the modern era. The monastery consists of multiple chambers carved directly into the mountain rock. But it's not the architecture that makes this site extraordinary. It's what the chambers contain. Sealed rooms filled with thousands of perfectly preserved scrolls, some dating back over 2,000 years. The preservation is remarkable. Despite the harsh mountain environment, these documents remain in pristine condition, as if they were created yesterday rather than millennia ago. The chambers themselves seem to maintain a consistent temperature and humidity that defies the extreme conditions outside. The first chamber yielded over 70 scrolls, written in scripts that match no known ancient language. The writing system appears to be highly sophisticated, using symbols that combine pictographic and phonetic elements in ways that suggest advanced linguistic development. Attempts to decode the language have produced only fragments of meaning, but those fragments are extraordinary. Several scrolls contain detailed star charts, showing celestial objects that were invisible to the naked eye from Earth until the invention of modern telescopes. Others include mathematical calculations that anticipate geometric principles not formally recognized until the Renaissance. Most puzzling are documents that appear to track weather patterns and climate changes with precision that requires meteorological knowledge far beyond what ancient peoples supposedly possessed. One scroll, designated as Document 47 by researchers, contains what appears to be a calendar system. But this isn't an ordinary calendar. It tracks celestial events occurring thousands of years in the future, including planetary alignments and solar activity cycles that modern astronomy has only recently begun to understand. Perhaps most intriguing is what researchers call the sky falling manuscript. This document repeatedly refers to a year when the sky falls, accompanied by detailed descriptions of celestial phenomena. The descriptions match theoretical models of what Earth might experience during certain types of cosmic events, events that mainstream science considers extremely rare. Research teams working with these scrolls report unusual experiences. Multiple team members, working independently, describe remarkably similar dreams after handling certain documents. These dreams consistently feature images of ancient peoples, receiving knowledge from beings who came from the star paths. The consistency of these reported experiences has led some researchers to theorize that the scrolls may contain information encoded in ways that affect human consciousness. The monastery shows signs of having been abandoned suddenly. Personal belongings remain exactly where they were left. Meals appear to have been interrupted mid-preparation. Yet there are no signs of violence or natural disaster. The inhabitants seem to have simply vanished, leaving behind their most precious possessions, the scrolls. Local Tibetan communities have legends about this place, though they speak of it with careful reverence. According to their oral traditions, the monastery was built by those who saw the long path beings, who understood events that would unfold across many lifetimes. These legends suggest that the knowledge contained in the scrolls was meant to be discovered at a specific time in human history. That time may be now. The Temple of 1,000 Eyes. In the dense forests of West Africa, near the border between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, stands a structure that challenges our understanding of ancient religious practices. Built entirely from red terracotta, this temple is covered from foundation to roof peak with carved eyes, hundreds upon hundreds of them, each one unique and precisely detailed. The Temple of No Gods, as researchers have dubbed it, contains no altar, no religious artifacts, no evidence of worship or ceremony. Instead, it appears to have been designed for a single purpose: observation. Every carved eye faces a different direction, creating what amounts to a 360-degree surveillance system rendered in clay and stone. The temple's construction demonstrates advanced architectural knowledge. The terracotta blocks fit together with mathematical precision, creating a structure that has remained stable for over 600 years, despite the challenging tropical environment. The clay itself contains mineral compounds not found in local soil, suggesting the materials were transported from distant locations. But it's the eyes themselves that make this temple extraordinary. Each carved eye shows a different type of pupil dilation, as if designed to capture light under various conditions. Some eyes appear optimized for daylight observation, others for twilight conditions, and still others seem designed to detect movement in complete darkness. Modern photographic analysis reveals that the eyes create complex shadow patterns throughout the day. These patterns shift and change as the sun moves across the sky, creating what appears to be a sophisticated timekeeping system. But the patterns also correspond to astronomical events, lunar phases, planetary positions, and stellar alignments occurring throughout the year. The temple's interior is equally puzzling. The walls are covered with intricate geometric patterns that serve no decorative purpose. Instead, they appear to be some form of mathematical notation, recording calculations that deal with orbital mechanics and celestial movements. These calculations demonstrate knowledge of planetary motion that was informally recognized in West Africa until the colonial period. Most remarkably, the temple shows evidence of having been abandoned abruptly and deliberately. The entrance was sealed with stones that required significant effort to remove. Personal items belonging to the temple's caretakers remain inside, including tools, pottery, and even partially completed carvings. Yet there's no indication of why the site was abandoned or where its inhabitants went. Local communities have oral traditions about the temple that describe it as a watching place built by those who came before the kingdoms. According to these stories, the temple was constructed during a time when the star patterns changed and new lights appeared in the sky. The traditions suggest that the temple's builders were recording these changes for future generations. Archaeological dating places the temple's construction sometime in the 14th century, during a period when West African kingdoms were experiencing significant cultural and technological development. However, the astronomical knowledge demonstrated in the temple's design suggests contact with mathematical traditions that historians say didn't exist in the region at that time. Research teams studying the temple report unusual photographic anomalies. Digital cameras frequently capture light patterns around the carved eyes that aren't visible to human observers. These light patterns appear to follow the same geometric principles found in the temple's interior decorations, suggesting that the entire structure may be designed to interact with specific types of electromagnetic radiation. The temple's acoustic properties are equally mysterious. Sound behaves strangely within its walls, with certain frequencies becoming amplified while others are completely absorbed. The effect creates an environment where whispered conversations can be heard clearly throughout the structure, while normal speech becomes muffled and indistinct. Perhaps most intriguingly, the temple appears to have been designed as part of a larger system. The geometric patterns on its walls match similar designs found at other mysterious archaeological sites around the world. It's as if the temple was one component in a global network of observation points, all designed to monitor and record the same celestial phenomena. Both the Himalayan monastery and the West African temple suggest that ancient peoples possessed sophisticated knowledge about astronomy, mathematics, and celestial mechanics. But they also suggest something more, that this knowledge was being preserved and recorded for a specific purpose. These weren't simply centers of learning or worship. They were repositories designed to preserve crucial information across vast periods of time. Information that their builders believed would be needed by future generations facing challenges that hadn't yet arrived. The scrolls speak of changes coming to Earth's skies. The temple records astronomical events with precision that suggests their builders knew exactly what they were watching for. And both sites show evidence of having been abandoned when their work was complete, as if their builders had finished their task and moved on to destinations unknown. But these repositories of ancient knowledge weren't the only impossible achievements left behind by vanished civilizations. Scattered across the globe are engineering marvels that challenge our understanding of what can be accomplished without modern technology. The fortress that follows the Northern Lights. On Norway's rugged western coast, where fjords cut deep into the landscape and winter nights stretch for months, stands a stone fortress that demonstrates engineering knowledge that shouldn't have existed in ancient Scandinavia. Built sometime between 200 and 400 A, centuries before the Viking Age, this structure exhibits construction techniques and astronomical alignments that puzzle modern architects. The fortress, known locally as Mørkvik or Skuggahall, sits on a rocky outcrop that provides commanding views of the surrounding fjord system. But its positioning wasn't chosen for military advantage. Instead, the entire structure is aligned with mathematical precision to track the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. This alignment represents a remarkable achievement in ancient engineering. The Aurora Borealis follows patterns related to solar activity and Earth as magnetic field, phenomena that were unscientifically understood until the modern era. Yet the fortress's builders somehow knew exactly where and when these lights would appear, constructing their monument to frame these celestial displays with perfect accuracy. The fortress itself demonstrates construction techniques that challenge our understanding of early Scandinavian capabilities. The stones, some weighing over 20 tons, were cut and fitted with precision that rivals Roman engineering. Yet there's no evidence of Roman presence in this remote location, and the architectural style matches no known Nordic building traditions. Most remarkably, the fortress incorporates a sophisticated understanding of magnetic principles. Stone bowls carved into the fortress walls contain traces of red pigment that shows unusual magnetic properties. Analysis reveals that this pigment was created using iron oxides, processed in ways that concentrate magnetic fields, techniques that weren't developed until the industrial age. The fortress's foundation extends far below ground level, with chambers that remain flooded due to rising sea levels since its construction. Underwater archaeological surveys reveal that these submerged sections contain the same precise stonework found above ground, suggesting that the original structure was far larger than what remains visible today. But it's the fortress's compass alignments that truly puzzle researchers. Built-in stone markers point not to magnetic north as it exists today, but to where magnetic north was located over 1,500 years ago. This suggests that the builders understood magnetic pole drift, a phenomenon that wasn't scientifically recognized until the 18th century. Local Norwegian communities have legends about the fortress that describe it as a light-catching place built by those who came from the ice. These stories suggest that the fortress was constructed by people who understood the connection between Earth as magnetic field and the appearance of the northern lights, knowledge that modern science has only recently confirmed. The fortress shows evidence of having been used for precise astronomical observations. Stone platforms built into its walls are positioned to track not just the Aurora Borealis, but also specific star positions and planetary alignments. The accuracy of these observations rivals that of professional observatories, yet they were accomplished using nothing but carefully positioned stones. Perhaps most intriguingly, the fortress appears to have been designed to amplify and focus the electromagnetic effects associated with aurora displays. During periods of intense northern light activity, sensitive electronic equipment near the fortress registers magnetic field fluctuations that follow geometric patterns, matching the structure's architectural design. The aqueduct that defies purpose. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, where few humans venture and fewer still return with reliable reports, lies an engineering project that challenges our understanding of ancient priorities and capabilities. Stretching for over a kilometer through dense jungle, a series of precisely carved stone channels winds through terrain that would challenge modern construction equipment. But here's what makes this aqueduct extraordinary. It was never designed to carry water. The channels, carved from solid granite with tolerances measured in millimeters, follow a path that makes no hydraulic sense. They run uphill in several sections, include deliberate obstacles that would block water flow, and end in circular basins that have no drainage outlets. Yet the engineering required to create this system rivals the greatest achievements of Roman civilization. The stone used for construction came from quarries located over 300 miles away, requiring transportation through some of the most challenging terrain on Earth. Each channel section weighs several tons and was carved to fit precisely with adjacent sections, creating a continuous system that demonstrates remarkable planning and execution. But it's the system's acoustic properties that reveal its true purpose. The channels and basins create a complex acoustic environment that amplifies and modifies sound in specific ways. Whispers at one end of the system can be heard clearly at distant points, while normal conversation becomes distorted and unintelligible. The acoustic effects follow mathematical patterns that correspond to specific sound frequencies. These frequencies match theoretical models for natural resonances, the sound frequencies at which various materials and structures naturally vibrate. It's as if the entire aqueduct was designed as a massive acoustic instrument. The circular basins show the most sophisticated engineering. Each basin is carved to different dimensions, creating unique acoustic signatures when sound waves interact with their curved surfaces. The basins are also positioned to align with celestial objects during specific times of the year, suggesting that their acoustic properties were designed to interact with astronomical events. Carbon dating of organic materials found during construction places the aqueduct's creation sometime around 800 AD. However, the engineering knowledge demonstrated in its design suggests familiarity with acoustic principles that weren't fully understood until the development of modern physics. Research teams studying the aqueduct report unusual experiences with sound and communication. Electronic recording equipment captures acoustic phenomena that don't register to human hearing, frequencies both above and below, normal auditory ranges that seem to follow the same geometric patterns found in the structure's design. Most puzzling is the aqueduct's apparent interaction with natural forest sounds. During certain weather conditions, the system seems to amplify and modify the calls of local wildlife, creating complex audio patterns that sound almost like communication between the structure and the surrounding ecosystem. The road that leads to questions. In Tanzania's remote interior, far from major population centers, an existing transportation network satellite imagery has revealed one of Africa's most puzzling archaeological features. A perfectly paved road stretching for over 80 kilometers through terrain that sees perhaps a dozen visitors per year. The Bali Road, as researchers have designated it, appears on no historical maps, matches no known trade routes, and connects no significant settlements. It simply begins in one remote location and ends in another, with no apparent purpose or destination. Yet the road's construction rivals modern highway engineering standards. The paving stones, each cut to precise dimensions, fit together with gaps so narrow that grass cannot grow between them. The road maintains consistent width and grade across its entire length, following engineering principles that suggest sophisticated surveying and construction capabilities. Ground-penetrating radar reveals that the road's foundation extends far deeper than necessary for its apparent purpose. Beneath the visible paving lies a complex infrastructure of drainage systems, support structures, and what appear to be utility channels, as if the road was designed to carry far more than simple foot or cart traffic. But perhaps most remarkably, the road incorporates features that serve no obvious function. At regular intervals, circular stone platforms extend from the main roadway. These platforms show no signs of wear or use, yet they're constructed with the same precision as the road itself. Their positioning follows mathematical patterns that correspond to astronomical alignments occurring throughout the year. The road's route defies practical explanation. It crosses rivers at points where no natural fords exist, requiring the construction of sophisticated stone bridges. It climbs hills when easier routes around them are readily available. And it maintains perfect straightness across terrain that would normally require numerous curves and switchbacks. Archaeological dating suggests the road was constructed sometime between 900 and 1200 AD, during a period when the region was inhabited by small-scale agricultural communities. Yet the engineering knowledge required for the road's construction far exceeds what these communities supposedly possessed. Local Tanzanian communities have oral traditions about the road that describe it as a path for those who walked between worlds. According to these stories, the road was built by people who came from the sky and needed a way to travel quickly across great distances. The traditions suggest that the road was used for purposes that had nothing to do with ordinary human transportation. Most intriguingly, the road shows evidence of having been deliberately concealed after its construction. Sections that satellite imagery clearly shows as paved roadway are buried under carefully placed soil and vegetation. This concealment appears to have been systematic and intentional, as if the road's builders wanted to hide it from future discovery. Research teams studying the road report unusual experiences with navigation and communication equipment. GPS devices show significant accuracy problems when used near the road. Radio communications become unreliable, and electronic measuring devices often display readings that vary depending on the time of day and weather conditions. These three engineering projects, the magnetically aligned fortress, the acoustic aqueduct, and the purposeless road, represent achievements that challenge our understanding of ancient capabilities. All demonstrate knowledge that their supposed builders shouldn't have possessed. All incorporate features that serve no practical purpose by conventional standards. And all suggest that their creators were working toward goals that had nothing to do with ordinary human needs. But these engineering marvels aren't the final mystery in our exploration of impossible archaeological sites. Hidden in remote locations around the world are structures that suggest their builders weren't entirely human themselves. The theater of the blind eye. Our final journey takes us to two theaters that raise questions about who they were built for and why they remain unused. These structures represent some of the most puzzling examples of ancient construction with no clear purpose. In the remote mountains of western China stands a massive stone amphitheater known locally as the Theater of the Blind Eye. This enormous structure was carved directly into a mountainside with seating for thousands of people. The size and scale of this theater surpasses many modern venues, yet it sits in an area where no major population centers have ever existed. The seating arrangement follows no known pattern from any ancient civilization. The steps are too high for comfortable human use, and the viewing angles seem designed for beings much taller than average humans. The acoustic properties are perfect, allowing a whisper from the stage area to be heard clearly in the highest seats. Advanced engineering techniques were used to achieve this level of sound precision. Carbon dating of organic materials found in the mortar places construction at approximately 2,800 years ago. No tools, pottery, or other artifacts have been found anywhere near the site. The surrounding area shows no evidence of roads, settlements, or infrastructure that would support a major construction project of this magnitude. The stage area contains carved symbols that do not match any known writing system. These symbols appear to be instructions or notation, possibly related to performances or ceremonies. The patterns suggest a complex understanding of mathematics and astronomy, with several symbols corresponding to stellar configurations. Equally puzzling is the acoustic theater discovered in the Carpathian Mountains of Romania. This circular stone structure demonstrates advanced understanding of sound engineering and architecture. The theater consists of concentric rings of specially shaped stones that create unique acoustic effects. Each ring of stones produces different sound qualities. The innermost ring amplifies low frequencies, while the outer rings enhance higher tones. This creates a natural sound mixing system that would be impressive even by modern standards. The stones themselves are carved from local granite and fitted together with precision that requires no mortar or binding agents. The most unusual feature is the temperature regulation system. Certain stones in the seating area remain warm to the touch regardless of weather conditions. Geological surveys show no underground hot springs or geothermal activity in the area. The warming effect appears to be related to the stone composition and positioning, though the exact mechanism remains unknown. Like the Chinese theater, this Romanian structure shows no signs of regular use, despite being in perfect condition. No wear patterns exist on the stones, no debris from audiences, and no evidence of maintenance or repair work. The construction appears to have been completed and then abandoned immediately. Both theaters demonstrate knowledge of advanced engineering principles that should not have existed in their respective time periods. The precision of the stonework, the understanding of acoustics, and the mathematical complexity of the designs all point to builders with sophisticated technical knowledge. The positioning of both structures is also significant. They are located in areas that were sparsely populated when they were built, yet they face specific celestial directions that align with astronomical events. The Chinese theater faces the point where the constellation of Orion rises during the winter solstice. The Romanian theater aligns with the summer solstice sunrise. These alignments suggest the builders possessed detailed knowledge of astronomy and calendar systems. The theaters may have been designed for specific ceremonial purposes tied to seasonal or astronomical events. However, the lack of any evidence of use raises questions about whether these ceremonies ever took place. The engineering sophistication displayed in both structures indicates organized efforts by skilled builders. The logistics of quarrying, transporting, and precisely placing thousands of tons of stone would require advanced planning and coordination. Yet no evidence exists of the civilizations that could have undertaken such projects. The absence of human-scale proportions in both theaters is particularly intriguing. The Chinese theater seems designed for beings much larger than humans, while the Romanian structure includes features that would be uncomfortable for normal human audiences. This suggests the builders may have been designing for different types of users than themselves. Both sites have been studied by archaeologists, engineers, and acoustic specialists. The general consensus is that the structures represent unknown, building traditions that disappeared without leaving other traces. The technical knowledge required for their construction exceeds what historical records indicate was available in their respective regions and time periods. The mysteries of these ancient theaters remind us that human history contains many gaps and unknowns. Across the globe, from buried cities to impossible monuments, from ancient libraries to engineering marvels, we find evidence of knowledge and capabilities that challenge our understanding of the past. These 13 archaeological sites represent just a fraction of the mysteries waiting to be understood. Each one offers clues about lost civilizations, forgotten technologies, and human achievements that have been hidden by time. They remind us that the story of human civilization is far more complex and fascinating than we currently understand. The builders of these remarkable structures left behind more than stone and mortar. They left questions that continue to inspire exploration and discovery. As we develop new technologies and research methods, we may finally begin to uncover the secrets that have been waiting for thousands of years to be revealed. Until then, these ancient mysteries stand as monuments to human ingenuity and reminders that there is still much about our past that remains to be discovered.